This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. What I'm looking at today is Season 2 of Netflix's Sex Education. It revolves around this high school in London, and we meet these bunch of students, one of whom is played by Asa Butterfield, and it's such a remarkable series. What makes it so great is the way the characters interact with each other. Each season of Sex Education is relatively small. The second season had 8 episodes. I don't recall the first season, but I'm pretty sure it had no more than 8 to 10. And they pack so much character development in such a relatively little time, it just boggles my mind. For instance, and I've said this before, but look at the Marvel Netflix shows. That is, when there were Marvel Netflix shows. Those shows tended to run 13 episodes. There were so many of those episodes that felt like filler, and it was really irritating. And in fact, it brought down really good episodes, because they have a good 2 or 3 episodes, and suddenly you have an episode or 2 of filler, or stuff you don't need to see. With Sex Education, everything you see is related to the development of this character or that character. It just works so well. Another thing is that it approaches sexuality in a very interesting fashion. It tackles things like sexual preferences, sexual fluidity, masturbation, in such a way that it's actually enjoyable to watch. And I generally mean that, because I've seen movies where people masturbate. Well, typically guys masturbate, such as like Fade to Black. Really good movie, by the way, if you haven't seen that. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember it at least being very good. And so when those type of scenes appear in movies, it generally makes me feel mildly uncomfortable, to be totally honest. But the way it's approached in Sex Education, it's kind of funny and lighthearted, but serious at the same time. It's really interesting, the approach this series has. And another interesting thing about it is that there are no minor characters, in a sense that Season 1 started with a core group of people. Season 2 has that core group with more people added onto it. And everyone gets their place in the sun. It's actually kind of remarkable. It's very much an ensemble cast, led by Gillian Anderson and Asa Butterfield. But there are lots of other players there who are adding to it. It's like a mosaic that takes more than one particular color to bring about the entire image. And what an image it is. These kids, these people I should say, because I don't know how old they look young, but who knows. They are so interesting and so fully realized as people. Sex Education for me is one of those rare shows that actually is an experience. It's funny, it's sad, sometimes within the same scene. It's well acted. It's just everything you want to see in a television show. And keep in mind something, I prefer science fiction and horror. Those are my jam. But at the same time, I like these people. And that's another thing. I consider people loving things and people they have not met a very pathological behavior oftentimes. Like, I love this team, I love that, I love Brad Pitt. It's like, I've never met Brad Pitt. How I like his acting maybe, but loving him makes no sense. Words matter. Love has a particular meaning. But I really like these people. I don't know any of them, don't know them from Adam. At the same time, their performances are so real and so vital that I feel like I know them. They remind me of people I've known. They remind me of me in some ways. It's just a fascinating show. Easily one of the best shows on television. As you're probably aware, new streaming services have come into being to compete with Netflix, one of them being Disney+. The thing is, with programming like Sex Education, programming like Dracula, I would just shrug if I were at Netflix, because this is quality programming, it's engaging programming, it's adult programming, and it's fun. And the thing is, let's be clear, Sex Education is not real, in the sense that the way it approaches these topics is not always done for the purposes of reality. It's done to entertain, but it does it so well that the difference is almost moot. It's just remarkable. It's well acted, it looks great, it's funny, and I should mention, when I say it's funny, it's played straight. There is very little of mugging for the camera. There is very little of being deliberately funny. The characters have developed personalities, and when those personalities play against each other, sometimes it results in humor, which is obvious, but at the same time, not something you get a lot of the times. Sometimes characters have to be the funny guy, the humor, the comic relief. This does not have, Sex Education does not have comic relief in it at all. There's no one person designated comic relief. Everyone at various times is funny, which is like, I don't know, people. People are at various times funny and not funny, and they do that so well here. Some of the drama, I would argue, is a bit contrived, but so what? That's the whole point. The thing is, though, it's not that the drama being contrived, frankly, matters. It's that if it looks contrived, if it feels contrived, that's a problem. And nothing on Sex Education feels that way. It has a very organic, natural feel to it. I mean, it's just remarkable. And as I said, it is one of the best shows on television, period. I mean, that such a relatively young cast can have such powerful performances really says a lot. If you haven't seen it yet, check out Sex Education. Seasons 1 and 2 are streaming on Netflix, and it is remarkable television. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Peace.